Okay, so this is the Shape speaking, and here is my particular favorite haunt at any convention, the dealer's room. Even if I don't buy anything, I always like to see what's in here. Dealer's rooms have I think I covered this last year, but I really don't remember what I said. But dealer's rooms have changed a lot.
She's been the same agent?
Since the old days, since I used to go to the old Fangoria conventions. Back then, you know, when there was no internet, and there wasn't such a thing as like all region DVD players and stuff, and everything was VHS, you know, PAL or NTSC, and there weren't a lot of good releases of uncut horror films. Back then, coming to these conventions and hitting the dealer's room was the only real way you could score a lot of movies out there. So I used to save up a whole lot of money all year round. Oh, that's a knob. I used to save up a whole lot of money all year round and pile into the Fangoria conventions dealer's room, and I'd walk out with a huge duffel bag full of tapes. And that was the way you found things that you couldn't find anywhere else. One of the you could also make contacts that way. There were a lot back then. Things were less restricted, so a lot of gray market bootleg dealers would be selling tapes right out in the open at the conventions, and you could find a lot there. And back then, death dealer. You know, back then, that was really the only way to find stuff. You could make connections with mail order dealers, and it was actually, I believe it was at one of these conventions that I actually found an uncut copy of Cannibal Holocaust for the first time. Well, mostly uncut. It was off the Japanese Laserdisc, which meant it had that ridiculous digital fogging whenever there was any kind of frontal nudity. Since Cannibal Holocaust is loaded with that, it was popping up annoyingly on the screen all the time. Yeah, especially in a movie like Cannibal Holocaust, where everything is primitive and savage, and then there's this digital crap showing up. But that was about as uncut as I could find. I like some of these rings. Maybe I will get one later. Depends how much they are, though. 55, that's not too bad for stainless steel. Severin's here, cool. I'm getting sidetracked looking at what's out here. Anyways, now the one that always really gets me about the old conventions was one of the films that was really hard to find in its mostly uncut version was Lucio Fulci's Beyond at the time. Now, Fulci, for those of you who don't know, he's made a lot of movies before he died, but he's mainly known for a quintet of horror films made during the 1980s, which would be Zombie, The Gates of Hell, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, and The New York Ripper. But the particular ones that he's known for are what they call the Gates of Hell trilogy. That's City of the Living Dead, aka The Gates of Hell, The Beyond, and House by the Cemetery. So the thing with these movies is that The Beyond is considered his masterpiece, but that was the one that was hard. It was impossible to see the right way. The Beyond was released in America in a really crappy, censored, chopped up version. They stripped out Fabio Frizzi's original score and replaced it with an electronic score, which is actually pretty good. So when the electronic score actually came out on CD from Avon Press, I was pretty happy. But that's about the only thing worthwhile about the U.S. version of the Beyond. They changed the opening credits. They retitled it The Seven Doors of Death, and then that was the version that was released on VHS in this really, really bad VHS, full cropped VHS release with a really, really lousy print. And to make matters worse, they put it in this really ugly EC Comics style oversized box. And for the longest time, that was like the only way you could see the Beyond. So it was at one of these conventions that I made the connection that eventually allowed me to see a print of the Beyond, uncut, letterbox off the Japanese Laserdisc. Well, mostly uncut. I was later to find out that it was actually slightly censored. The shot of Jill's head exploding was darkened to comply with Japanese censorship laws about cranial violence. But aside from that, it had the original score. It was the way. It was the way that movie was meant to be seen. It wasn't until the DVD boom when suddenly there was this market for uncut, letterboxed films that through Anchor Bay we finally saw an uncut release of the Beyond. And it was even more uncut than the Japanese Laserdisc. And since then, that is the version that has been out there. That's the version that was released on multiple different DVDs. That is the version that was released on Blu-ray and has recently been announced for 4K. And that is the version that is streaming on Shudder and Tubi. So with all that crappy VHS tape of Seven Doors of Death faded, rightfully so, into obscurity. So everything's reversed. Because that VHS tape that has never been redone or reprinted or anything, that's the one everybody tries to collect. That's the one that goes for $500, $600, $1,000 on eBay. And I do understand the idea of rarity. The rarity of it driving those prices up, but come on, fucking hell, the Seven Doors of Death is not worth spending that much money on if you already have the uncut real version of the Beyond. It's just not. But from what I understand, the 4K version of the Beyond is actually going to have the Seven Doors of Death version digitally remastered as an extra. I could really care less. Like I said, the only real worthwhile part of the Seven Doors of Death is the I forget the name of the two brothers who wrote it, but the alternate score, which is actually pretty good. It's not as good as Freezy's, but it surprisingly, it actually fits in with the scores of the other Gates of Hell trilogy movies. It does have a sound that is, in fact, similar to Freezy scores for Zombie and City of the Living Dead, and it is also similar to the score for House by the Cemetery. So when Sean Lewis at Avon Press released that on CD, that I was cool with, but I really have no real desire to acquire a copy of that crappy censored Seven Doors of Death version. And I have just spent something like 10 minutes rambling about that. But I guess it's worth noting because I was talking about how things have changed. Now you see video dealers here now, but you don't see any of the gray market dealers and stuff. Mostly you just see regular video dealers. Severin is here, Vinegar Syndrome is usually here. I think Cauldron is here. I'm hoping to score at least one of the box sets of Lamberto Bava's movies at this convention if I can find it anywhere. I'll go looking around.
Take a look at it.
Yeah, now it's mostly props and stuff, different things, figures and things like that. So it's not quite, because there's the internet, you can find all these films on various DVDs. There's all region Blu-ray players, so you can get them from anywhere. So you don't see those bootleg dealers in here so much. You don't see those bootleg dealers anymore. Also, in keeping with the times, things are a lot more restrictive. I remember when Rotten Cotton used to have a booth selling their t-shirts. Also a Sean Lewis enterprise. And when they made their money for the convention, they'd put a sign up that said boobs equals free shirt, and women would gleefully pop their tits out and get a free shirt. I mean, it went on a lot. You can't do that now. People would run screaming from that now. Everybody's so afraid of anything. So dealers' rooms are much more restricted than they used to be. Even here at Monsterpalooza, I remember they used to do makeup demonstrations, and some of the female models would just be wearing like pasties so that they could get the makeup everywhere. I have not seen them do that, allow that since lockdown. They just, no boobies. Everybody's afraid of them. Anyways, I'm gonna go wander around and see what I can find. I have been talking like crazy for like 15 minutes straight. That's something I'm prone to, probably why I make these videos. But you can probably see there's a lot of interesting stuff always at the dealer's room, despite all the changes. Tons of things that are just fun to see in these dealers' rooms. So you get a chance, come on down to Monsterpalooza. We all love our monsters here. And like I said earlier, it's kind of funny because it's kind of funny whenever they have these events, because I don't think the good citizens of Pasadena are really ready to be inundated with thousands of horror fans, well, hundreds of horror fans all at once. I remember that going back to a few times when they did Fangoria down here, and you walked across the street up to that hoity-toity mall across the street, and man, there were a lot of people there were a lot of people staring at us. It was actually pretty funny. Like I said earlier, a lot of guys in their Armani suits and holding their attaché cases, and yeah, it was like we were like the most massive freak show that ever existed. We just walked in there and all of the regular residents just freaked out. So it's always kind of funny seeing those reactions, because like I said, I don't think they were just ready for us. Okay, so a little ad on here. Unfortunately, the high tension Lamberto Bava box set is not available yet. I was expecting that, but I was kind of hoping maybe I could score it early at the convention. But I just talked to the guys at Severin, and it's not actually ready to ship yet. So it's a little iffier on Cauldron's box set. which is a bunch of different movies I've been looking for, and I haven't really been able to find it. It's a bunch of different Lamberto Bava movies. I guess I should explain for anybody who doesn't know who he is. Lamberto Bava is a very prolific Italian horror filmmaker. He is the son of the great granddaddy of all horror Italian directors. That would be Mario Bava. Mario Bava is one of the guys that, in my opinion, really showed the world how to make a horror film and in color and do it expressively. The other two guys are Terrence Fisher at Hammer Films and, interestingly, Roger Corman with his Vincent Price Edgar Allan Poe adaptations over at AIP. So, well, Lamberto Bava was never quite the filmmaker that his father was. He's made a lot of interesting films, a lot of fun ones. So I was hoping to score this couple of the box sets that are coming out. Again, so the one from Severin, High Tension, is not ready, but Cauldron Films has a box set that was supposed to release this month, and it's up for sale on their website, but I haven't found anybody selling it just yet.
Oh, awesome. Hit us up. Yeah, definitely. Follow and share if you can.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Jason. Pleasure to meet you.